Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for January 7th, 2020. SPY is going to be down 0.28 there. Q's basically flat. Was up on the day a little bit on the Q's. We got a inside day here today, narrow range day. Kind of what was to be expected. I was asked yesterday at the end of the day yesterday, do I think market's going to gap down or gap up, or and I thought probably some narrow range kind of day here after we got this big igniting bar. Now going into tomorrow, still gonna be bullish. All right, probably comes as no surprise that with the weekly and monthly that we are still expecting higher prices. Now you can see that hourly is starting to weaken here. Okay. So if there is some potential for this hourly to start a downtrend, we're really going to need to get through this support area around 320.40 on the SPY, okay? And then on the Qs here, even further below, you can see we got a bit of more of an upward slant. There was some strength in the tech names today, I think, that contributed to that. All right, underneath 212.24, because as we pull back into this area, maybe looking, well, we are getting a little bit of a lower high here, but it is going to be pulling back into all this support that we've created this over the last week or so. So I think it's still pretty early to start anticipating some kind of hourly downtrend that would potentially lead to some kind of pullback on the daily and then kind of lead to a pullback on the weekly and monthly. Okay, but we'll keep an eye out for it. I think right now, going into tomorrow, still going to have a bullish bias, expecting sell-offs to be buyable opportunities. Okay, so we didn't really get kind of the extension we were looking for. We didn't get the big damaging gap down. So that's really still what we're looking for if we're going to get some change to the bigger picture here. So while the hourly starting to show a little bit less bullishness, hard to argue with that daily, weekly, monthly as bullish as they are. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on it going into tomorrow. Overall, still bullish bias. All right. Now, coming into today, looking at the pre-market gaps, I only had one favorite, okay, and that was the APA gap, okay? Now, if you've taken the turnaround trader formula or TPM, you know how to rate these gaps, okay, so that you can kind of narrow down your focus as far as what to look for, okay? There were some opportunities in here, and you had to be patient on the APA, and unfortunately, I was not. I think you could have played this initial pop here, right, on the APA, which I thought moving a little bit too much. I didn't go after it, right? You could have gone for that initial pop. That would have been fine. I'm always looking for the kind of setup that will allow me to be in it for as long as I can, really, as long as the trend continues. Okay, and you can see that as far as what I'm looking for, the multi-bar consolidation off the 20MA, it really didn't come until an hour and a half after the open. I think at that point, I was questioning whether or not that rally off the lows had already made the move, and ended up missing this play. Now, this play you may identify here as also perhaps being a buyable opportunity. It isn't for me. I'm not going to be buying as it breaks new lows, starting to look more like it wants to go lower. Now, it did recover from there, right? What I'm willing to play is after that uptrend has been reestablished, this breakout. Okay, so while this was the only thing and the only favorite, did still happen to miss it. Okay, so the gaps analysis, like we said yesterday, is half the battle. Gives you the opportunity to focus on the right things, and then come the other things, the entry pattern and the management as well, which was an issue yesterday on the STC. So, I think what we're doing in our pre-market preparation is definitely putting us in the right position. I think just a little bit of some execution errors, I thought, on my part the last couple days. The other play today, so hopefully you did catch the APA. and did better than me. The other play today was the MU. Just as I was coming on to the mic for prior to lunch, saying I'm playing this MU as a breakout over this base. And again, that comes from this gap that we got, clearing resistance after multiple bars moving lower. So I do like the setup on the gap there, and the breakout worked pretty well. Actually, the MU and the APA both got to 4 Rs, 4 times whatever you risked, 400% of whatever you risk, right? And that was the best targets for me as far as the plays that I take for 2019. And, I'm monitoring 1 through 5R all or nothing as well this year just to see if anything changes. But this also got to 4Rs as well. So, it was nice to catch the MU after feeling like it was a big mistake on my part to lose focus and not play the APA. But one thing to be kind of careful on days like today when you kind of run into this situation like I did is just because the MU worked and I was able to catch it does not excuse the miss on the APA. Okay, so yes, it's nice to not have completely missed out on today, but really this should have been played, and I don't think there's any kind of two ways around it. These really should be looked at independently of each other. Now, a lot of times what happens is, let's say we start off the morning kind of down, and then we miss the APA. That APA is hard for us to kind of get over. It kind of lingers that much longer because we think, oh, today would have been a nice day and it would have been a totally different morning if I caught that APA. And so we put too much significance into this one misplay. What happens on days like today where say, okay, you missed it, but then you played something else and it worked, is that it's easy to ignore the mistake that you made. You almost forgive yourself for the mistake made on the APA, and so you give it too little significance. So you want to make sure that if you have a process at the end of the day to review your trades, annotate the trades that you took, annotate also the trades that you passed on or missed, right, that you treat them all the same. It's kind of easy to give ourselves a little bit too much credit. I feel like on days like today, maybe not do, what we did and then think, oh, I did so great for playing the MU, and even though I missed the APA, we really want to stay as even and objective as we can. So just something to be kind of aware of, that I've seen it in myself, seen it in other people too, that sometimes we feel really, really bad, unnecessarily bad when we miss a play that would have really fixed a day, and then excuse ourselves and are a little bit too lenient ourselves when we miss a good opportunity but still had an okay day or a nice day. Okay, so just make sure that you try to be as thorough, do the same process every day to prepare for the next day, and don't let kind of one trade or another really dictate kind of how you feel and kind of how you kind of interpret the day. Some days there's going to be lots of trades, some days not so much, and so when there's not a lot of trades, it's easy to give too much importance to a single one. Okay, so good to be aware of on a day like today. That this APA was a really good setup and really should have been played on a pretty good gap. Okay. All right. Hope you did well today. I didn't think there were a lot of opportunities. I expect that to be the case the next few days, but that's why focusing in the pre-market, getting that gaps rating done. All right, we'll tell you kind of what to focus on, because there aren't a lot of opportunities. So missing some really nice ones can mean you're without a trade for the day. Or the worst case scenario is you miss a trade, you settle for something that is not that great of quality, doesn't really fit your trading plan all that well, and then have it not work. So you don't want to be just kind of throwing away money that way. Okay? All right, so going into tomorrow, still bullish on the Qs and SPY. Not necessarily a good entry point, but hard to argue with the uptrend on the larger time frames on the Qs and SPY. All right, have a good evening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.